I mean, I would say that we rarely get to talk to you, but we get to talk to you pretty often. We see you.
We see you around.
Well, you're local.
Yeah,
you're local.
right.
You're down the street. I mean,
Absolutely.
you were in the neighborhood. So let's go back to 2018.
Okay.
And which I'm sure you don't necessarily have a problem talking about. It's pretty darn good year for you guys, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of really good things. Anytime you get to go 3 rounds, it's good. Lost to a good Haltom team, and they had a great year. But, yeah, I was real pleased with the way our kids played. Of course, you always – as a coach, you can always go back through things and find things that you could have done better or different. But when you get to that point, you're going to lose to somebody pretty good or hopefully continue to advance. But we're excited. We're excited about what we accomplished last year, but we're real excited about what we got coming up this year.
Well, because it kind of strikes me that you guys last year, yes, you had a superstar in Trejan Bridges who's unbelievable, and he's gonna do work at Oklahoma. He's gonna be pretty darn good. But it seems to me that aside from Trejan, you would look at the 2018 Hebron team and say, okay, maybe you guys were a year early to the party because you guys do return so much. You guys were starting a lot of juniors and a lot of sophomores at key places. Do you feel like maybe last year was just maybe a precursor of bigger things to come?
Well, I mean, obviously we're going to miss the production that Trejan Bridges could bring each and every week on special teams, catching the football and running the football. Whatever we asked him to do, he's able to do a tremendous job. And but we are excited about the fact that we had so many kids that stepped up, played big roles for us last year, and we feel good about where we are off-season wise, how we've worked, how we've performed, and as far as getting prepared for this next season. Plus a lot of confidence. You got kids coming in, and sometimes when you do have a great player like Trejan, sometimes you can get your focus. Say, well, Trejan can always bail us out. So, but it's exciting to see some of these other guys are going to have to really step up now, and I think they're looking forward to that opportunity and that role that they're going to have, and I think they're looking forward to it again. But you've
had no shortage of superstars there at Hebron. You've been tremendously blessed to coach some superstar guys. Trejan Bridges is just the latest. Before let's call out Jamal Adams, because Jamal Adams apparently. Sure. Tell me what you were telling me off air. Let's air out this grievance here for.
Oh, it's not a grievance
for NFL superstar Jamal Adams and Hebron grad.
Well, I coached 27 years before I ever had a kid make it to the NFL. Now we've had 4 kids that have actually made it to an NFL team, and so it's pretty exciting. And Stanley Maponga, Shelton Johnson, Dietrich Wise, and Jamal Adams so I've been waiting to get one from Dietrich and waiting to get one from Jamal so I could put their jerseys up in the field house. And Dietrich gave me one. Excited. He won a Super Bowl this year. Great for him. And then Jamal wrote me a note on his jersey that came to me, and thanks, all the nice things. But then he said, "Hey, Coach, by the way, you need to retire my jersey." And I was like, it's like, this guy's got fame, he's got fortune, he's got, everything going for him, and it's like, I texted his daddy. I said, you know what? It's amazing. These kids, it don't matter what you do, they still want something. But no, he's a great young man. We're excited for all he's doing. But it's just funny. It's like
he could build a new field house and name it after himself. But he's like, nah, man. Like if you could,
and we would like to have that, Jamal. So if you're watching, field house, Jamal Adams.
Actually, if you just want to make that check out to cash, that'd be pretty good. But the other thing about like retiring a jersey, that's a lot easier said than done. You don't have a ton of numbers. You know what I mean?
Well, my original thing was I said I'll retire the jersey of the first kid that makes an NFL roster. And Stanley Maponga was the first, and he was number 36 for us. And so we haven't used that jersey since. Now, we haven't been using 24, which Shelton Johnson wore. We haven't been using 33 and 55, which were Dietrich and Jamal's numbers. But yeah, you're right. Those are pretty nice numbers.
Yeah.
And, you want to continue on, but we'll see. If that Jamal Adams wing wants to come onto the field house, and maybe we'll figure out what we can do with that. But no, I said, you're going to have to be there, and you're always going to be playing in the fall, so you're going to have to be there for that ceremony if we ever get to that point.
Yeah,
so.
you got to wait till they come to Dallas.
There you go.
Have to tee it all up.
There you go.
So then you've been tremendously blessed to coach these outstanding individual talents. Who's next? Who's the guy that you're really excited about that you think is going to be a household name maybe this year, maybe down the road? Is there a guy on your roster that you're like, this is the guy we're all going to be talking about?
Well, it's so hard. It's so hard to know. I mean, I knew Stanley, going back to the first one we had, Stanley Mapong. He was a great high school player, but is he going to be able to get drafted and play at the NFL level? And because we've had some kids that have gone on and played at college, but NFL just didn't quite. We had Lewis Baker, Ian Cunningham, and I hate to even mention that, but just the others. But Daniel Wise is coming out this year. He's had a great combine. He had a great year there, great career there at Kansas. So he's one. But when you start talking about kids you have, it's tough to say because you don't want to leave anybody out. Obviously, I think Trejan Bridges is one who has a tremendous upside and great potential. He's already there at OU, and they're having their spring game coming up. I think it's tonight actually, but. We do have some tremendous players and tremendous talents, but just to say right now off the top of my head, it would be tough to say.
That's fair.
I'll let them play their senior year. I don't want them to get the big head.
Yeah, that's probably smart. It's Brian Brassel of Hebron here in studio here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation, #TF Today. We'll get to your questions on Facebook here in a little bit. You're a guy who's you're a defensive guy.
I think so. I mean, I played offensive line in college. I went to TCU to play D-line, but then I got to play it. I started 3 games my freshman year, so I always have that. But then I got Brian, we really think you can be a good Southwest Conference D lineman, but we think you can be a great O lineman. So my heart was broken, and so I went to the offensive side of the ball. But it was great. I enjoyed it. We played split back veer, which is a very aggressive style of offensive attack. Get the tack, block, and everything. But most of the opportunities I had as a coach was on the defensive side, so I think that's kind of how I've gotten labeled. But I like to score a lot of points. Do you miss it?
Do you obviously you've kind of become known fair or not, guy who's been defensive coordinator.
Sure.
If you put together great defenses, it seems to me that the great Hebron teams under you have been teams that have had great defenses in a lot of ways. But do you find yourself trickling over to especially the offensive line and spend a little bit more time over there during practice?
It's kind of sad to say, but when you become a head coach, you kind of always flock to the quarterbacks. Get over there and watch what's going on because when you have a quarterback, and you always want to see those quarterbacks get developed because it's very difficult to win if you don't have that one guy. But if you do have that one guy, you have a chance to be successful because he can make everybody else around you so much better. But obviously, I do kind of, move around a lot in practice. But, I've had great coaches. I've had great guys that have done a great job for me on the defensive side. And so it's allowed me to feel like, I can step away from that. I mean, Eric Mock's my guy right now. And before that was Dane Johnson. And, of course, when I first came to Hebron, it was Joe McBride. And, those guys are tremendous coaches. And, what they could pour into it is, with me having to do all the responsibilities as a head coach, like coming and talking to you guys.
Sure.
It's big takes a lot of my time. But no, just doing all the other things. But those guys, they focus and they do everything with that, and they pour their, heart and soul into that, and allows them to do that, and it try to stir other things away from them. But
yeah, because I think that one thing that kind of gets lost, we talk obviously so much about head football coaches and stuff because they're the face of the program. In a lot of ways, your job is to be the face of the program. But when you talk to these coaches, they'll tell you, I'm only as good as the coordinators I've got, the position coaches I've got, the JV coaches I've got, all the way down to even you want to get down, especially at the 6A level, the middle school coaches I've got. That in a lot of ways, yeah, you're the CEO, but the strength of the organization is not just you. It's the whole of the sum of the parts in a lot of ways, and I think that maybe gets lost on a lot of fans.
Yeah, I think it's very probably similar to like a farm system within a Major League Baseball. I mean, you do have your JV teams. It's not just about getting your just your varsity ready. You have to get your JV teams ready. And we have 2 JV teams, and we have 3 freshman teams, and then we have 3 middle schools that feed us, and you have 8th grade, and you have A team, B team, sometimes C team. Same thing at 7th grade. And So you want your coaches to develop those kids, because it doesn't matter if you're a 7th grade C teamer right now, because by the time you're a senior, you may be that varsity starter.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen kids that have developed and grown through the program and become varsity starters that as 7th graders you'd have never thought that probably would have happened. So, yeah, you do have to have great coaches everywhere. And I know when I got my first job 20 years ago at Hebron, my dad told me, he said, son, you need to surround yourself with great people and find people better than you. And he said, that shouldn't be that hard, because I know what your talent level is. And there's a lot of people better than you. My dad's always real good about keeping me humble. Yeah. So I said, thanks, Dad. But it is. You can't be intimidated by hiring great people. You want to hire people better than you. You want to hire people that, I don't care who gets the credit. I mean, we just want to win the football game.
Yeah.
We want to do the things necessary. And, and coaches have so many different – it's kind of like me and this coach may not get along that well, but if those kids love him and they'll run through a wall for him and they'll do the things necessary and they work good within that system. And I'm not saying I don't like him. I mean, sure. Their style may be a little different, but if those kids will buy into it, it doesn't really matter, because it's a finished product that you're trying to work through. And it takes all different types of personalities to reach the kids that we work. And I think the longer I've done this, that's the thing I really notice more and more, just how important it is to connect with these kids, off and on the field, in order to really, get them into play like they need to.
Everybody gets a ring at whenever you want to win a title. It's whether you got along with guys or not. The bottom line is if the team gets a ring, then everybody's going to get a ring.
Absolutely.
You mentioned the quarterback, and when you've got a quarterback, you've got a shot. It seems like you guys have a quarterback.
We do.
Carson Harris had a really impressive junior year. I think there may be an idea that he was just. Let's play jump ball to Trejan Bridges, which there's a certain level of truth to that, but he earned it. I mean, you watch film on this kid. Mm-hmm. I came away really, really impressed with what he does. I mean, he looks the part. Mm-hmm. It seems like you got a special one under center. Yeah,
he's as tough a kid as we've had probably been quarterback. I mean, not to say the other ones weren't,
sure.
But he just is. I like to say he's got a linebacker mentality playing quarterback. He wants to very, very fiery. I mean. We're doing our fundraiser this spring, and we're selling these cards, and I don't ever let him run in spring. He said, Coach, how many cards do I have to sell so I can run in the spring game? And I just threw out this number, 55. And so now he's over 30 cards sold now. I'm like, oh my gosh. So
what have I done?
So I didn't really know that he'd go. I thought he'd say, oh, that's not gonna happen. But he's doing everything. But that's. He's that kind of kid. He wants the ball when the game's on the line. He wants the ball in his hands, and he's just a tremendous competitor. The kids on the team really rally around him, and I mean, he was our leading passer and our leading rusher last year. And we had two great running backs with Jalen Lott and Isaiah Broadway, but to have him be our leading rusher, yeah. I mean, it just tells. And again, a lot of it was based on him scrambling, doing things, but it was down around the goal line. I said, let's not make it tricky. Let's snap it to him. Let's get him in the end zone, because he's a good, tough runner. And, I mean, I think he can play quarterback at that next level, but he could play linebacker. He could play fullback, running back. He's a real talented kid.
It's going to be fun to watch. And you guys are I think when you go back to last February when realignment comes out, you guys get put in this district, and I think the notion around here was, okay, District 6A, Hebron's there, Coppell's there. Maybe one of the Flower Mound teams. That's about it. It seems to me, and I'm certainly interested from your perspective as the guy who has to deal with this district every year. It seems like this district got a lot deeper, a lot quicker than we thought. Maybe it's just Louisville stepping up and having a great year. Obviously Flower Mound has taken a big step forward. Marcus, of course, has the pedigree that it has, and then there's Coppell plus you guys. It seems to me, maybe you saw it coming better than I did. It seems to me that this district went from about 2.5 deep to like 5 deep in the span of a year.
Well, I mean, I think that's the thing. Every year you just never know. And, whenever you finish out a season, that season ends. Even if you got a lot of starters coming back or it's a different team. It always is going to be something that makes that team a little different. But obviously experience does help. I know Louisville played a lot of young kids the year before. Mike Lodell, their head coach, I coached him in high school, and I've never been around a better kid that was as a leader than Mike Lodell. I mean, he was all 145 pounds of him. He'd get in the middle of the biggest guy and let them know what they needed to do, and they listened. And then he was tremendous as a coach for me. 2 years he was my offensive coordinator, and so I knew Michael would be able to get those guys going, and he did. But there's a lot of talent, and they did a tremendous job over there. So we knew they would. And Fireman had a lot of young kids coming from the year before, and Coach Basil and those guys do a good job. I think the biggest thing, obviously, Coppell and Marcus and all that, but I think some people are saying, oh, the Irving schools. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, Irving schools have been playing DeSoto, Cedar Hill, Duncanville, South Grand Prairie. I'm like, I don't know how good any of us are going to do when you play those type of guys week in and week out. And so, I mean, there's talented kids over there. I know Nimitz had a very unfortunate. I mean, they were rolling early, then their quarterback got hurt, and they lost some close, tough games early. MacArthur was a game we've had to fight tooth and nail. Irving was a little back behind just because, again, having a coaching transition late in the year. And I know Coach De Los Santos because I coached him in high school, and he was a corner for me on our state championship team there at Louisville. But just tremendous coaches that are going to do a good job, and they're going to fight tooth and nail and everything all the way through. So, but it is. I mean, you better come every week.
Yeah.
I mean, we were fourth place and glad to be there. And you always want to be a championship district champion team, but we lost by 3, by 1, and by 6. And but they beat us all those games. Yeah. We lost them. We didn't do the things we needed to do to win, and that's the game of football. We're fortunate to win a couple others as well.
Yeah, you mentioned the MacArthur game. I mean, that's a team that I think is better than their record indicated. MacArthur was. And then even Coppell, I know didn't to get that 1 point win. I know that was is a decent year, maybe not up to the standard that Coppell holds for themselves, but still, it's there are some districts that you can kind of pretty quickly identify. Okay, here's the contenders, and here's the also-rans. But it seems like, if you squint, 6, 7 deep in this district is not hard to fathom.
Yeah, well, that's why we have a real easy non-district, and we scrimmage Allen, and we play Plano and Arlington Martin and
ease end of the year
and Fossil Ridge because we know those teams will never be any good.
Yeah, so. That is interesting. You guys play Fossil Ridge in non-district, and then you get the rematch with them. Obviously
we scored 17 both times. The first time we scored 17, it was not a feel very. But the second time we scored 17, but felt a whole lot better because we ended up on. So it's about, that whole offense defense about. You win as a team, you lose as a team. So it was a lot better feel.
Let's address the elephant in the room with Brian Brazel, the head football coach at Hebron here on Texas Football Today. We're getting your questions here in just a moment, but let's address the elephant in the room, which is that you're about half the man that you used to be.
Well, I've been told that a lot. So
you are significantly more svelte than the last time we saw you. What's going on?
I'm just losing some weight. I woke up New Year's. I was about 330, and I said, you know what? I think my NFL offensive line career has passed me by. So
you called your agent, and he was like,
I
don't think it's going to happen.
This year they might. One of our former players, Ian Cunningham, is the player of college scouting for the Philadelphia Eagles, and I contacted him. I said, "Do you think, is it passed me by?" And he said, "Yeah, Coach, we're probably gonna." Because every year I kept reinstating for the draft, and they never would draft me. But
it's tough.
No, I just wasn't feeling as healthy. It's funny because I played. We played Pierce in the second round of the playoffs, and we were getting ready to play them, and. I'd never met David Collins, and so like we all do, we now get on Google. What does this guy look like? And David wasn't he was kind of a chunky guy, kind of. So okay, so we met at Whataburger that day after they beat Cedar Hill and we'd beat Fossil Ridge. And as we're meeting, I walk in, I said, "Well, I see a guy with he's got a pony on his shirt. It kind of looks like him. That dude's a lot skinnier than what I saw on the Google." And so. We got talking a little about some things, and then, he told me, he had lost some weight, some things like that. And so I decided January 1st, I'm going to lose some weight. So for about 3 weeks, I worked my tail off, and I lost about 6 ounces, I think. So I said, man, I'm going to call David up. So I called David, and I said, hey, what's the name of that weight loss program you're on? And so he told me the name of it. It was actually called Soda. I don't know if I can do that. Is it giving free advertisement here to Soda? But
there are no competitors on this show.
Actually, and the other thing we were like our whole sales strategy is
maybe they'll take off a few payments now.
Is to mention companies and hope they just come and advertise with us then. So this is great. Yeah,
Soda weight loss. Brian Brazel, Jim Ledford, and David Collins, I know for sure, have been big proponents of this program. So, but no, and so basically, I'd snoring a lot and all that. I was about to have a physical with my doctor, and I talked to my wife. Said, I know it's not going to be free. It's not going to be cheap. I'm going to have to. And I said, but I'd rather go ahead and I need to lose it now. Plus, I don't think she was sleeping very good because I was snoring, evidently sucking the house in and everything. But anyway, so I got on it, and first week I lost 17.5 pounds, and weighed in this week. I was 57 pounds down.
How
from where I
about
started.
that?
Not bad.
70 days, so yeah.
Man, that's okay. Nobody's going to recognize you.
Yeah, I don't snore anymore. I'm sleeping better, so my wife's sleeping better. She says she actually wakes up sometimes, thinks I'm dead or something because she's been used to snoring so much.
Takes a mirror, puts it over your face, make sure you're still fogging
it. No, but it's been great. And I felt really good from it, and I still got some time to go, so we'll look about another 25, 35. So,
wow.
So y'all can pull out my old picture when I was in high school, from my Dave Campbell's, and you'd say, hey, that's the same Brian Brazel. He's high school weight now.
It is.
A lot more hair and a lot more wrinkles now, but I mean less hair and a lot more wrinkles. But
I was gonna say, I hate to break it to
but
you.
Yeah, it was it. So it's been great.
Okay.
It's been good.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations.
Appreciate it.
We are, and I imagine doing this in the off season is a lot easier than doing it like in season. It seems like whatever you can get at your hand, like there's got to be moments where you're just like, okay, I've got to eat something. Like like as far as measuring out things and being as somebody who's also at one point lost a relatively significant amount of weight. You got to be super diligent about it, and that is better when you're not running around trying to do 15 things at once like you are, say, on September 15th.
I'd say partly true, but I know our first year when we first bumped up, we won state in 2005, and Joey McGuire called me and said, hey, let's play next year. And I was like, okay, sure, why not? So,
how many people have gotten that phone call and gone,
well, I mean, at that point, they had never won a playoff game.
I guess that's
and
true,
all that.
yeah.
And Joey, and he said, we're never very good early, blah, blah, blah. So we just won state championship, feeling good. And we actually scrimmaged 0 weeks, so we didn't play. But I went and watched them scrimmage. Before that, I watched them scrimmage in us. And I think William Cole was about to score 80 touchdowns that game. But they kept blowing quick whistles. And then I saw them beat Colleyville Heritage in a shootout. And I was like, oh, my goodness.
So
it was our first game after state championship. And it was – they had 40-something, and we didn't have anywhere close to that. And so that week, I remember I was just like, have I just lost it? And so I lost 10 pounds that week, but after the Cedar Hill game the next week, because I was like, I was sick to my stomach. I said, man, we're not. Yeah. I'm gonna go from the guy that's won a state championship to getting fired the next year because we won't win. And then we won 10 in a row, and then we played Cedar Hill in the second round of the playoffs, and so we ended up 10-2.
Actually pulled up the box score here. That was 42-6 Cedar Hill.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
William Cole threw for 149 yards and 3 touchdowns and ran for another 131 yards. And that was just the beginning of his reign of terror.
Yeah. I still have nightmares. But.
It's Brian Brazel here from Hebron, here on Texas Football Today. We can now matriculate to the other part of our section. Right. So if you have questions for state champion head coach Brian Brazel, it's an opportunity for you to answer those questions. Max, do we have any questions?
We do. We're going to start off with the hard-hitting questions off the top from this guy you guys both may know him. Greg Powers wants to know, will we see the stash return this year with Coach?
Well, there's another story that goes with that. But I was walking out of church. I was probably right before I started my weight loss, and I'd kind of had the goatee working at that point, and it was pretty gray. And as I was walking out of church with my wife and my son, this older lady makes a beeline straight to me, and she reaches out and hands me a card, and it says, would you like to join our Platinum Senior Adult Choir?
Oh no.
And when that happened, I just was like, you got to be kidding me. And so so I was just no thank you. And then I went home and shaved, and I shaved my head, so I don't know. I'm not that vain of a person. I don't care about being bald, but being called a senior adult before my time was pretty rough.
Well, and the worst part is that they don't have any room for baritones.
And it wasn't even and it wasn't senior. It was platinum senior.
So that's the blue hairs.
And they said they had practiced choir practice 10:30 Monday mornings, and I'm like, okay, and then, you don't think I work
before Matlock?
So you know what? Hey, but if the kids, if my football players, now the thing is, I might be like Kendall Miller and dye mine black, like I know he does.
Ooh, and, wow! Shots fired.
But Kendall, hope Kendall's listening. But
my
we talked about last year, because I did dye my whole beard black last year, and it looked pretty in spring, at the end of spring, because I did grow a full beard out last spring. So
yeah, because when we saw you at coaching school, you had just the mustache.
Yeah,
and I remember. Was your daughter getting married? Did I make that up?
She did.
She got married?
Yeah.
Congratulations. But but I remember basically you were saying, is it okay, she's going to have the final say on whether or not I have the
No, I didn't let her think she would, but I knew she didn't want it. But I made sure I shaved it before the wedding because of obvious reasons. I'm sorry I'm shuffling through this.
No, you're fine.
I was going to show you.
Yeah.
I lost my wallet and
oh no.
And so this was another reason I decided
Let's make sure we cover up the number.
I needed to lose weight. I mean, look at that.
Ooh, yeah. Here, I'll cover up the important things.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we want to see if we can.
There you go.
And I was somewhere, and I didn't have my. I guess.
Oh yeah, man.
And that's a sick stash, dude. And so
I gotta tell you.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're very handsome. You are more handsome now than you are this.
Well, I appreciate that. That's an easy. But I don't know, the stash. I might bring it back. I kind of like it. We'll see what happens.
What's next?
It's not completely retired.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, are you superstitious? Because that goes into it too, right? If you grow the mustache and then good things happen, how do you get rid of it?
It's so funny. I like to think I'm not superstitious. Yeah. But sometimes I like to say, well, I did this last week, so I don't want to do that this week because I don't want people to think I'm superstitious. So it's almost like I'm superstitious about not being superstitious. Does that make sense?
Man, it's kind
of a weird thing.
That's really deep. That's next level.
So it's kind of like I don't want to be superstitious so bad that I think I am superstitious.
Yeah.
But
oh man, I need to diagram that sentence.
One final question for Coach here. This is from Ruben Rios, big TFT fan. Anyone from Coach Brazel's current coaching staff that he sees as a successful future head coach?
Well, Tyler Sokup was my offensive coordinator last year, and he just recently got the Plano West job, and I think they got a great coach there. He's going to do a tremendous job. I mean, I think Eric Mock, he's been my defensive coordinator for 10 years. I think he will be a great coach for somebody as well. Jeff Hill, you just promoted him on my staff. I mean, I could go on and on. I mean, I got a lot of guys that, part of it is just, part of it's just getting time. I got some guys I think would be great head coaches that they just are fine not doing that. Mm-hmm. They said, I don't want to do that, coach. I just like doing this. And so, I mean, there's a lot of guys that I think would step up and do that. And I look at the guys I've had in the past that have gone on and had great success as head coaches. Galen Zimmerman down there at Dripping Springs, DeWitt over at Coppell, Joe McBride who just got back in. I knew that guy said, dude, you're too good a coach not to be coaching on the sideline. And but for him, Mike Okololo. So we've had a lot of guys go on, Dane Johnson and on and on and on that have been able to. So it's great when you see that happen for those guys. But, I mean, I have so many guys that I think would be prepared to do it. And because, again, like I said, you surround yourself with good people and you give them a chance. And I do. I'm not a micromanage guy. I like to give my guys the responsibility. I always tell them you're the head coach of your position or what you're doing. And so I hope by doing that it gives them the ability to step out when the opportunity presents themselves so they can step up and do it. And I think they will.
Most importantly, they learn from you.
They learn something, I hope. I'm hoping I'm mentoring them in some way. What that is, I don't know sometimes. But, no, I was around some great people. And so, I can't thank Ronnie Gage enough. And, I started out at Plano, and Coach Kimbrough was the head coach. Coach Clark was the athletic director. I went to go work for my old high school coach, Charlie Lyles, at R.L. Turner when I first – and playing for him. And then, of course, playing for the great Jim Wacker at TCU. I mean, all those guys were tremendous in helping me, and then on and on. Guys like Pat Smiley, was an assistant at Louisville who'd been a head coach. Tim Watson's a great friend of mine. He's a defensive coordinator. Was at South Lake, and but just on and on. I mean, there's so many guys that you work with that have helped shape you to become what you do, and hopefully I'm helping them some.
He's Brian Brazel. He's the head coach of the Hebron Hawks. You're not on Twitter, are you?
Yeah, I got a Twitter.
What's your Twitter handle?
I think at C Brazel or something. I don't know.
Brian
I don't know. I should just spell out the whole
Twitter.
Right.
Let's see.
At C Brazel.
I don't know. I'm not finding anything.
It's out there somewhere.
Let's
We'll
see.
figure it out.
Coach Brazel.
I have something out there somewhere.
Yeah, at Hebron C Brazel.
At Hebron C Brazel.
There you go.
That's the one. He's Brian Brazel.
I don't know why I didn't spell out coach, but anyway. It took too much effort, I guess.
That's good enough. Whatever.
Good enough.
It's good enough.
Yeah.
Follow him on Twitter.
Yeah.
That's fine.